Hi, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about buying a used German car, because I see a lot of things on the internet. People say buy a used German car, it'll be the best car you ever own, and then other people say, oh, it's a maintenance nightmare, you'll go broke and you'll die. But really, kind of depends on what you buy. And I'm going to cover Volkswagen, Audi, and BMW today in kind of a video that encompasses all the German brands except for Mercedes. I don't really have any experience owning one, so I don't really want to talk about it because I'd be talking about something I've never actually done, and I don't want to do that because I don't really know about Mercedes. They could be great cars or they could not be great cars, and I don't want to base it off what someone else has said. I'm not going to talk about something like that. I'm only going to talk about something I've done, and I've owned the other products I'm going to talk about. So first of all, since we're driving a BMW, we'll start with BMW. And the big kind of complaint with German cars is that people think the maintenance is real bad. Well, it kind of depends on the car, because luxury cars depreciate so fast. Like this car, I paid $12,000 for it even, and it was probably around $45,000 new. Whereas if you buy like a $40,000 pickup truck or something of this same year, you're gonna pay double what I paid for this car when the truck was 40 grand new with the same miles or something of that nature. And German cars depreciate quickly, in my opinion, just because they're expensive to buy new, and anything that's expensive is going to depreciate quickly. The maintenance at the dealer is expensive, and the people that buy them new and spend that much money don't really keep them that long typically, but it depends. So that's kind of where I'm going to start. If you're going to buy like a 10-year-old like BMW or something and it's had like 4 different owners, probably not going to want it. From my experience, and I'm not saying that this is always right, but the cars with the least amount of owners are the best vehicles. To the extent where the last 3 cars I've owned, actually 4 cars, I've only purchased them if it said 1 owner on the Carfax. And I've never had any issues at all with them. And this BMW has actually had 2 owners, but the first one was a lease, so that didn't really bother me because BMW covers the maintenance for the first owner, and that's on the Carfax, and then same with the second owner. So where I'm going with that is, German cars only nickel and dime you from my experience, and this isn't limited just German cars, but if the maintenance hasn't been kept up on it at the time when you buy it, like if you buy a car with a timing belt and the timing belt hasn't been done, chances are the water pump hasn't been done, because in Volkswagens and Audis the timing belt drives the water pump, which means all that related stuff hasn't been done. So that's one more thing. Anything that has to do with one service is designed to last the amount of time of that service. So if you're not following the recommended service intervals, of course you're going to have issues. So when you get the car, say 100,000 miles, nothing's been done, it is going to be a money pit. And also, if you're going to buy a BMW, say like a 7 Series, like a twin turbo 7 Series or something that was $100,000 new or 80 grand new or whatever, and you're expecting it to be perfectly reliable, you might as well buy a Honda, because if you're buying a $100,000 car, the maintenance is going to be more. Just like if you buy a $500,000 house in an area where a $500,000 house is like the biggest house around, because it depends on where you live. Where I live, $500,000 house is giant. California, it's not much. So it's all relative. But if you're expecting a $100,000 car to be cheap to maintain, it's not. You got to think about how much it was new, even if it is $5,000 now, and what the dealer is going to charge you now, or based on that, and the added complexity in that car. And if you can do the work yourself, it's not terrible. But it really depends. What I'm trying to get to here is, if you're buying like a 3 Series or like an A4, like an entry-level German car, the maintenance is going to be more entry-level pricing. Like, if you go, say you go to Advance Auto and you ask for brakes for an Audi A4, they're the same exact price or within a few dollars as a Chevy Cruze. Things like that. Because a lot of Audis, especially like an A4, share a lot of Volkswagen parts, and they're not horribly expensive when they're new. But once you go to an A6 or an A8 or BMW 3 Series or 7 Series, kind of the BMW and Audi equivalents, I'm going back and forth between the two brands, you're going to go up in price for parts because that car was more money when it was new. That's my theory on all the parts for German cars. And really, it just depends. Like this BMW, if you go on Consumer Reports, a 328, an 09, which should be the same for all of the E90s, has roughly the same reliability rating as the average Toyota product. But if you go to a 335, which is essentially this car with 2 turbos and different transmission and just like small tweaks, but looks physically the same, the average population wouldn't know the difference. You're going to instantly get into much more maintenance problems, wastegate flutter with the turbos where they rattle, things of that nature. It's about $1,300 if you go on ECS tuning to buy the 2 turbos. And then if you can't install them, there's labor in that as well. And so that's really your question. Can you maintain it? And are you buying something that when it was new had added complexity and was a complicated car? Because if you are, that's really going to be your question with maintenance. But not to say the car's not reliable. I mean, there are some engines that are inherently bad, but that a quick search on Google of what car you're going to look at and problems, you can kind of figure that out from yourself. Like if you look up an engine and all they're talking about is snap timing chains, or like the 4.2 V8 in the Audi S4, the snap, like the timing chain rattle issue that allegedly costs around $8,000 at the dealer to have fixed. If you can't do it yourself, then you probably don't want it. But if you're looking up like a 1.8 turbo in a Audi A4, which is a fantastic engine, a lot of Volkswagens have it too, then, and you see kind of not very many issues and they're all kind of different issues, you know, it's just like wear and tear, like maybe one person had a timing belt issue, but you don't see many that did, or things like that, then you know, okay, it's a good engine, because everybody's going to have issues with any engine no matter what, and they're going to post it online. So you have to kind of take that as you will. But I've owned a 1.8, I had 142,000 miles on it when I sold it. It was a A4, didn't have a single issue. That car was a manual, it was on the original clutch, it had the original wheel bearings. I had all the receipts from the maintenance, bought it from the original owner. It was the most reliable car I've ever owned, even though it had high miles and it was a German car. So according to at least the population where I live in a GM town, it's going to be horribly unreliable, and that's not the case. But if that was an Audi A6 with, say, like the bi-turbo 2.7, there's going to be a lot of issues. Those cars, I've seen my friend's dad work on them and talk about them. He's an Audi technician. Different Audis like that, or when you get into more complicated BMWs, you get into more complicated maintenance and repairs. So just think of how much it was when it was new, if it's like an A4, A6, or an A8, or a 3, 5, or 7 series, and what level that was. Like if you're buying a V10 M5, maintenance is not going to be the same as regular 5 series. Things of that nature. You get what you pay for as far as quality and as far as the maintenance on it. If you want a reliable, good German car, you can stick to like a 3 series with just the straight 6. They're extremely reliable. They don't have any real known issues. They have a GM transmission, which seems to be the weak link if you get an automatic, which this is an automatic. I don't have any issues with it. I'm at 82,000 miles. But that's really the weak link with those. A4s are great. The manual lasts forever. I had a manual, it's fantastic. The automatics usually last about 175,000. A6s, I've never owned one, but I haven't heard a lot of good things as far as reliability goes. But it's more money new than an A4 and more complicated, so as long as you really keep up on the maintenance, you should be fine. That's what I've heard. I haven't owned one though. BMW 5 Series, really depends. If you get the 535, those are good engines. They just have the 2 turbos, so that's one thing to look out for. But really, if you get like the one, I don't know all the BMW badge names. This is the first one I've owned. But if you get the one with just the regular 3-liter, I'm pretty sure it's a 528i. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that one, no issues that I know of with the engine. Transmission seems to be fine. BMW people do complain, same with this transmission, that they're kind of a clunky automatic. But it works fine for me. If you want a good transmission, you buy a manual BMW anyway. It kind of comes with the territory. They're known for being driver's cars, so really buy an automatic. If you buy an automatic, you're gonna get the issues. If you buy a manual, you're probably not. But I haven't had any issues with my automatic. That's just what the internet says. So it really just depends. And hopefully this video isn't shake. I'll show you these roads. Downtown Flint going to school, there's not much I can do. The camera's firmly mounted, so I apologize for that. But this BMW, I'm gonna overview all the maintenance costs. Anything I do to it, I'll put in here. Air filter, anything, just to give you guys kind of an idea. I already bought the stuff for the first oil change, and this is a good thing to do as well if you own a German car, because they all, at least Audi and BMWs, say they require Castrol, like Edge. If you go to like Advance Auto or AutoZone, I only have experience with Advance Auto, but I know AutoZone does it too. They'll have like Castrol Syntec on sale for usually like $27.99 for a 5-quart jug. Certain months, this car takes 7 quarts, so I just buy 2 of those jugs. And then the Man Hummel filter, that's what's recommended for these. I think the filter's like $6-7. So you can get everything to do an oil change and half the oil for your next one, usually for about $50. And another thing, if you're like a Speed Perks member at Advance Auto, and I know this is going a little bit off topic, but I figured I'd throw it in there. If you buy all that oil and they ask you if you have Speed Perks, give them your phone number and sign up, because you'll get discounts off your future oil and parts for your car. So it helps that offset that cost just a little bit more of the synthetic oil. But I run 10,000 miles on my synthetic. So even though I'm paying $50 for an oil change, I'm doing 1-2 a year. And doing it myself, which is extremely easy on these BMWs. Same with the 1.8 Audis. The 2 liters, I've heard you have to suck it out of the top. I've never worked on one. If anyone wants to ask me about that in the comments though, my best friend's dad, one of my best friend's dads is an Audi technician. So I can ask him if you really want to know that, and just let me know. But other than that, I haven't really incurred any expenses or horror stories with any German car I've owned. It's just, how do you buy it, really? If it's had 1 million owners and a salvage title, you probably don't want it. If it's got a receipt, like all the receipts for the maintenance, like my Audi had like $10,000 worth of receipts in the glove box, all from the same Audi dealer. So it's really what you want to look out for. So now you can see these are the bricks in Flint, the town you probably heard about on the news for all the water issues. And I think I'm the only German car down here probably. This is Chevy town right here, and I do own a Chevy, so I fit in sometimes. But that's why I'm kind of making this video too. If you live in a GM or a Ford town or whatever, you might not know anything about BMWs, but there's nothing German around here at all. There's one blue 5 Series that's always in this parking garage. It's a manual, but I don't know whose it is. So if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe, and you'll see videos in the future about this car. And I know I just said there's not a lot of German cars, but there's an older S-Class right there, so it's about the only one I've seen. But thank you for watching, and go ahead and subscribe.